Hello, and welcome to episode 109 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, I'm addressing the most common fears that get brought up for mentees who are going through my program, My Design Mentor. Changing careers is a big decision, and everyone has fears around it. So I asked them to share what their biggest worry is about the career change itself. And so I can address those in the program and help everyone who comes through meet their needs. So we're going to get into that in the episode. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about My Design Mentor, I have links in the show notes. You can check that out and join me, get your career started the right way. While you're there in the show notes, check out the links I have for downloads, the quiz. There's a whole lot of things. And also all of the back episodes are going to be really informative if you're thinking about changing careers. So I have lots of interviews. Every other episode's an interview, and every other episode is me talking about advice around the career. So much great information for you over the last couple of years. I do hope you go back and listen. If you have just started joining us recently, it's worth a listen to. All right, now let's get into the episode. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Okay, let's talk about the most common worries of people who are coming through My Design Mentor. So this would be everyone who's looking to progress their career in interior design, whether they're switching from another career, they're just starting out. These are some of the things that people who have come through have mentioned to me. So one of them is a worry that the business will not succeed that they've started. And because it's something that they did or something out of their control that they don't have, they're not able to foresee all the challenges. And establishing a luxury service in this current financial climate is risky, and that's just a big fear this person had. So my response to her was that, yes, it is risky, and there are things that are going to happen that are outside of your control. We cannot control everything. But I told this person they are in the right place because they are already seeking help on how to establish a correct framework to work out of. By gleaning advice from someone who's been there before and walked through it and can give feedback, live feedback for what they're doing as they're establishing their business, that almost guarantees that they will be successful. The other half of that, though, is to keep a mindset that no one is expecting things to be perfect, but that you are doing your best and that you are also seeking help on this. I shared that I also started my business in the recession, and while that seemed like a terrible time to do it, it's still successful and standing here today. So just because the financial climate may be good or bad, there are ways to be successful in each one. So by going through the program and learning all the modules, that should give her much more confidence to face the daunting task of establishing a business. It is not for the weak of heart, I'll tell you, the faint of heart. It is definitely something you have to put your big girl pants on and go out there and, hang up your shingle. It's very vulnerable position to be in. But we definitely get into all the specifics and talk about this mindset on our calls in the program. Okay, another worry was that this person is new to the profession and has no professional experience. They fear that they won't actually get an opportunity to work under another designer because they don't have any experience. And if they decide to start their own business, they're not sure about the proper steps to take to start that business. And she reminded themselves to continue to think positively. So yeah, I understand that definitely what are the steps to start your own business? And fortunately for these people who are coming through, I have the business starter kit, which has all the steps. There's a checklist, like you want to go through all these steps, and it kind of walks you through. This was something that I did not have when I was starting my business, and I kind of had to glean it all together, and now I put it all in one place for everybody to have. It's such a valuable resource. So anyone thinking about starting their business would benefit from this starter kit. But the other part of her worry is that she wanted to work for another designer and does not have any professional experience. And so that's where being in My Design Mentor, we can do sample projects. We can talk about different areas of schooling that you might need to take a course here or there in order to get yourself to a point that you could be hired as an entry-level designer position, or if maybe using your experience from outside of the career, maybe you've had experience being a project manager, but for something not related to interior design, but the skills are still the same. And so we can definitely work on your resume and develop those skills to make you hireable by a prospective employer. One person said that they're most worried about the accounting, administrative, and legal side of starting their business. It does not come naturally to them, and it's going to be their biggest hurdle to get over. So yes, I spoke with this person about a lot of these areas that they are worried about. They're going to want to outsource. If you're starting a business, there will be some level of investment of either time or money that you need to put into it because you want to surround yourself with experts who can help you start the right way. Some of it you'll be able to do yourself, maybe data entry for your accounting, but probably, as we've had many CFOs and financial people on this podcast before, recommending that one of your first hires could be a bookkeeper, and it was for myself, an accounting firm, to keep your books in order, because as you typically not the strong suit for a creative person. And then keeping everything organized and running smoothly. Either you want to find a software that works for you, or maybe hiring someone 5 hours a week to help you keep your administration part going. And then legal parts, mostly coming in with your contract and how your business is set up, that definitely you want to seek out some legal professional to help you establish those correctly. But that's not so large of a hurdle that we can't get over. I definitely have made recommendations to freelancers and other software and people that I'm able to recommend for the people coming through this course. So if there's a problem, we're going to face it together and get over that hurdle. And I had a lot of people echo the financial fears within the program. 3 or 4 is like, yes, I also feel like I don't know anything about bookkeeping or the financial side. And, having to file taxes and everything you don't want to mess that up. So that's why I always recommend just hire the professional from the start. It's not going to be, that you don't need to hire them 40 hours a week. It's just a few hours here and there to keep you on track and keep you going. Another fear was maintaining work-life balance. And we do talk about that. We've talked about it, especially back in the episode in December where we were talking about the Full Focus Planner. And we also had Sierra Collins on. She talks a lot about balance in life. She has her own podcast now, actually, that you're going to want to check out called Branching Out with Sierra, and definitely talks about the wheel of life. It's not necessarily a balance, but you have different aspects of your life and you want the wheel to be rolling. And so if there's different times in your life, you're going to focus on different areas that are lacking that might keep your wheel lopsided. So having that kind of perspective going into a work-life balance of being an entrepreneur and having a family at home, understanding boundaries with clients, understanding managing your time. We definitely have gone over that in the podcast and we go into that in the program. But very important things to consider when you are thinking about becoming self-employed. There's a lot less structure. You have to impose that structure yourself. And of course, that is something that I can help you establish within My Design Mentor. There's a big concern around inexperience as well. And I understand that one of the challenges when starting over in a career is that you might often be put at an entry-level position if you're going to work for someone else because your skills are not as advanced as some other people. So even if you're not going to obtain a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree, but you're taking courses here and there enough to get employed, well, you'll start out in an entry-level position. And of course, the pay for entry-level designers is not very high. And so I've had this conversation as well with some people in the program that starting out as an interior designer, as a junior designer, often is paid $22 to $26 an hour. And if they're coming from another career where they worked at for 10 or 15 years, they are making a lot more than that. And so it's very challenging and difficult to go backwards in the pay scale. And this is the reason why most of the time, if we cannot position them into a higher level position in a company, like a project manager, if they had project management skills, etc., if they really do end up just landing in an entry-level position, most of the time that is not feasible financially because it's way less than what they had been making. So for this reason, a lot of second career designers will go into business for themselves because, as I've spoken with you before, that is where you can make the most profit, the most money to pay yourself. You're keeping, especially as a solopreneur starting out, as long as you're charging well, and then you can make more money. You make also money, if you use the business model of charging for furniture as well and all those things. So that should be able to replace any income that you're making and then eventually, of course, make more. It is a lot longer process to work up that pay scale as an interior designer. And of course, this is the thing that I'm hoping the industry eventually elevates as we are charging more for our time as principal designers and charging the client more, that we're able to pay designers more, and that starting pay scale will start higher and that it won't take so long for designers who are working for another designer to make a decent income that is competitive with other fields. So, small soapbox moment there. But yeah, so that is definitely a concern, is that not making as much money as they had been in their other career. And so for those situations, I would generally say, yeah, you could maybe work part-time for another designer, but then also be having your own clients in order to make up that income difference. So as you can see, a lot of very common fears are connected with the people coming through. I mean, each time someone new joins, they read through everyone else's fears and are like, yes, that's me too. That's me too. That's my fear too. So you can see that these are very common. If you're feeling this way too, you're not alone. A lot of people who are considering the career change are facing the same kind of fears. And so what better place to be than going through it together with other people? And you might want to join my design mentor to get some of that feedback from others who are currently in the program. So maybe we talked about one of your great worries today on the episode. Maybe it brought up a lot of feelings and fears that you have. And if I didn't talk about one that you have and you'd like to share that with me, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you, or you can email me or join me in my design mentor. Any of those ways, I am so happy to be here and help people step forward in their career. And it just gives me so much pleasure to be the stepping stone for everyone who's going to become a great designer someday. All right, that's enough for me today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have another great episode for you next week, and until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.